And so he like wanted me to make like a beat for that. And so like
just off the vocals?
Yeah, like that's his idea for the hook.
Okay.
And so this is like the melody he had for it. And I just kind of fucked around the key and I got that. But then like this, like the beat and then that together. So this is what it sounds like together. It's like we're going to like save the princess, you know?
Yeah.
Which is like fine, but that's not really what I want. So I kind of edited it. So I made it this. So it like fits well too, you know? So that's gonna be his melody.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and then like the beats there, I'm just kind of just like doing the final decisions on like structure and stuff, you know?
Oh, okay.
So.
Healthy. Little gap here before the hook comes back in, and so I took these little bells out, but I don't know, I kind of want a little something else in there, you know?
Yeah.
That's enough of that, I'll finish that later.
Alrighty.
So I like how this sounded with like the delay on there. But that's not, this and the tempo don't like match up. So I need to like figure that out real quick. So I'm gonna put it in the tempo that I want, and then just figure out the delay after. So I used to do it just like, I would just perform it over and over and over again until it was in time enough. But now I just do it as best as I can, and then I just quantize it. I bring down the strength a little bit so it's still a little more towards how I performed it. I usually have like 75, 80, something like that. Still a little way to like quantize it while still keeping it a little human, I guess. With my drums though, that, I mean, if anything's gonna be like perfectly in time, it'll be my drums. But you know, if it sounds good, it sounds good, so.
You said.
Mostly drums. These are just quick ones that I have saved. Later, you know, I'll go into like my full library of drum packs to pick out what I want. But for now, like this clap will do. I'm putting this on one shot, and so I just hit it, and it'll play the full sample all the way through. It's useful on drums, just quick things like that. So it doesn't matter like the length of these notes, because it'll still play the same, it'll just play the sample all the way through, it doesn't matter. Always bust your reverbs.
Number one rule.
Number one rule.
Is it in the producer handbook?
Don't know, I haven't read it, but it just gives you more control over your reverb. I'll kind of show you here in a second. So like, let's say you want more reverb. Instead of having the reverb on here on your track and then having to go in and like automate the plugin to do more reverb, you just automate your send to the plugin that's on the bus. Like this. So it just gives you more control. Pretty useful. Simple for now. I'll go back and make a little more complex that hi-hat. So some of these are different velocities. I don't want them to be too different, but I also want it to be still a little bit human, kinda. So I'll just put in a range to cut off whatever's, you know. I mean, my lowest one's like 102, and it goes up to 110, so just cut her off at 105, I guess. Now these that were past that 105, they're just 105, so it's a little more even. Then you can just send something else to that same bus instead of having to like copy over your reverb plugin and whatnot.
Uh-oh.
A little bit of space. Give it that 6 feet of distance. Kicks and 808s I usually always put in mono, unless you're into that, like putting it into stereo if you're freaky like that. But pretty much you're always gonna put it in mono.
Is that a preference? Or?
It just keeps it in the middle. So kicking like 808, that's kind of, I mean, you don't really want to have them like spread out or anything. Everything else are like claps, hi-hats, so you can put those in stereo. It's fine. I'll allow it. I like this one I got. This is kind of just my go-to, just to start off, and then I might go back to it later and change it. This is something I usually do with my 808s or my kicks. I'll go into binaural pan. This is in Logic. I don't know if there's like the equivalent of this, other DAWs. It changes it from just like a left to right pan to like an all around you kind of pan. So I just put it right in the center. If you're doing like surround sound stuff, you'll be using something like this. You pan it all around you. But it just helps it knock more. This is just like a preset I got saved on here. I was just messing around and threw it on an 808 and it sounded good, so I just kind of saved it. But I'll probably go back there and like adjust that later. I'm already getting some distortion from this compressor, so I'll just leave it like that. So this is pretty much like GarageBand Pro kind of.
Yeah, Pro.
You just gotta make sure you turn on your advanced settings once you first get Logic. If you go to Logic, go over here and just turn all these bad boys on. But yeah, I'll just like send the project to myself, and then I'll just open up Logic, hit open, and then find it, or like I'll click on it, and then you know you can choose what to open it with or whatever, and then it'll turn into a Logic project. But you still have all those like instruments and stuff.
Very nice.
Yes. So when you have a kick and an 808, they usually kind of sit in the same spot, like frequency-wise. You know, they're both low end. So sometimes just straight up putting them together, it might sound muddy or like they don't sit well together. One thing besides EQ, put a ducker. Really, it's a gate, a noise gate on your 808. And instead of the gate, we use it as a ducker. And you sidechain that to your kick. So whenever your kick hits, your 808 will duck a little bit. Because whenever the kick and the 808 like hit at the same time, kind of like a little overload kinda, it'll just sound a lot like louder, I guess, sometimes. It'll just help your kick kind of come out a little more, so the shit isn't muddy. We just go and just mess with that until it sounds good. It usually helps. So that's kind of what I did right there. I might go back to it. since it's reversed, it like, technically the MIDI note is in time, but it just sounds off. So I just kind of gotta hand drag it every time. It sounds good. Since that was like kind of in a weird spot and it'd be really like weird to copy it over, I just drag that region back to where it's like lined up with the grid, and then I can just copy it over pretty easily. And if you're using Logic, Option, and then drag, it's an easy way to just copy stuff over like that. But you gotta hold the Option, and then you let go of your click first. Because if you don't, it'll just move that whole thing over like that. So Option, drag, bam. Easy peasy. Peace.